Elon Musk is gearing up for a busy 2025, not just due to his ally President Trump taking the White House, but because of his work at SpaceX, which is asking the FAA for approval for up to 25 Starship launches this year. Musk isn't the only founder looking to the stars this year. Joining us now with his top predictions for the space economy in 2025, we've got Chad Anderson, Space Capital founder and managing partner. Chad, great to have you in studio as always. So, Elon Musk, obviously increasing his power, increasing his wealth, given the rally we've seen in Tesla stock. Does the kind of story around Musk, I almost just said Trump, increase your bullishness on SpaceX for 2025?
Absolutely. Okay, so to put 2025 into context, it's helpful to think about 2024, which was a massive year, really underpinned by a lot of milestones that SpaceX set. So there was a record number of global launches. SpaceX accounted for half of those. There was this really sort of massive turning point where Boeing, the incumbent, bungled NASA delivery of astronauts to the space station and couldn't bring them back. And SpaceX has been tapped to go and rescue them. Yeah. And SpaceX launched and caught with these massive chopsticks, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen, this next generation rocket, which is going to usher in this new wave of the space economy. And so, and on top of that, $26 billion invested last year, which is up 30% from the year before. So 2025 looks like it's going to be even better, bigger and better. And a lot of this is underpinned, again, by SpaceX. So this new administration is coming in. We expect to see a lot more focus on leveraging commercial capabilities in space. And I think SpaceX is most likely to benefit here. And that's not just because he's first buddy, but also because they have the market-leading solution. If you want to launch something, if you need connectivity in remote areas, in conflict zones, if you want resilient GPS, if you want to understand where things are in orbit, like SpaceX has become the de facto, like they are the apex player in this market. And so I think they're going to benefit most greatly in 2025, but I also am optimistic because I'm seeing new companies emerge and we're going to see more competition in 2025 as well.
Well, let's talk about that because we were talking earlier about the IPO outlook for 2025, and our guest was saying that SpaceX really has the liquidity they don't need to IPO this year. What IPOs are you anticipating, and do you think we will get a SpaceX IPO at some point?
Yeah, and that's so interesting, right? Because the $26 billion that I mentioned last year, that is no capital to SpaceX. They have not tapped the capital markets in 2 years because they're basically printing money. This company is not just in the commercial realm, but also on the defense side of things. The company is generating a lot of cash flow, and it's been widely reported that they're now buying back shares, right? So over the last couple of years, they're no longer raising capital. They're funding their growth with revenue and actually buying back shares. So if you think about where SpaceX goes from here, they have big, lofty ambitions that don't necessarily align with public market expectations, right? Their primary goal is to go to Mars and take humans to Mars to settle there, right? They have aspects of their business like Starlink and the satellite communications business that is generating a significant amount of revenue and is actually could be a public company spinoff. We'll have to see if that happens or not. I mean, that's fueling a lot of their larger vision. So, do they keep that as part of the company or do they spin that off? I think that's yet to be seen. We've heard public announcements from the company have given us mixed messages, so we're not quite sure what to expect there.
So how can retail investors play the space? Is it a matter of waiting on an IPO like SpaceX, or is there a different IPO opportunity or a private credit opportunity?
There will be many IPO opportunities. So we have seen so again, a little context here is helpful. So we've been operating in space for decades, but it's really only become a category for investment and entrepreneurship over the last 15 years or so on the heels of SpaceX. So it's relatively new. It takes time for these companies to raise venture capital and to go out and to mature to the stage where they're ready for the public markets. We've not seen that yet. We've seen some companies go public via SPAC. Most of that's washed out. There have been a handful of really great companies that came from that retail investors can participate in. Rocket Lab being an interesting example. Right. Planet Labs, both portfolio companies of ours. I do think that in 2025, we're starting to get into the place where a lot of these companies have grown and matured the more traditional way. And we're going to start to see some more traditional IPOs and more opportunities for retail investors to get involved.
And I know you've got some other predictions that you sent over to us. What else are you anticipating for 2025?
Well, it's a few things, and one is China is becoming a bigger player here. They have launched a lot of rocket launches, but not a lot of payload satellites mass to orbit. That's going to change next year. SpaceX has 7,500 Starlink satellites. China, they're racing to get 15,000 up. China has multiple mega constellations like this. Amazon is launching a satellite communications constellation. So if you look at the chart of satellites in orbit, it's basically a straight line up right now. That's the growth that we're talking about. Is the number of satellites in orbit is accelerating faster than Moore's law, which is really something interesting to get your head around, right? So understanding where all these satellites are, how to navigate this, like it is no longer optional for us to coordinate activities in orbit. We need to get much smarter about that. We're going to see some of that play out.
And real quick, is Amazon going to be a formidable competitor to Starlink in 2025?
I think it's particularly interesting. If they can do, so they've been very tight-lipped, but if they can do what they claim that they can do with these satellites, they're going to be very capable. And given geopolitical considerations, given Musk's ties to the president-elect, I think that there are going to be some countries and some geographies that are more interested in a different solution. And so I think we're going to see some of that play out as they start to come online next year as well.
Perhaps their competitive advantage is not being Elon Musk then heading into 2025. Chad, thank you so much as always. Really appreciate you joining us. Thank you.